Okay, Gino, this is Rita. You're finally hearing my voice. I hope that this goes well. I'm kind of new to this. In fact, I've never done it before. But I just want to let you know where I am. I'm taking the photo that we were working on the little Barbie house. And I am in Touch Retouch. You know, it's funny, I never even looked at the word touch in there. But it is Touch Retouch. And it opens up right in here. I've already brought the picture in. I think you can probably figure out how to do that. There's this line that I want to remove. There's a Highline wire, and I want to remove it. And it's really easy to do with Touch Retouch. You just come down and you press the line remover, and you can either do the line remover or segment remover. It doesn't really seem to matter much. I think when you just have a little bitty piece, it's like a short one, like, well, I don't have an example of it right now. But there is something you should know in the settings. You can make how thin, medium, or thick you need for the line. And that does make a difference sometimes, because sometimes you have some pretty thick lines. But I think for this one, we definitely want to use the thin line. And all you have to do is run your finger. Doesn't even have to be very good. It'll find it, and there it's gone. See how nice that is? And what you want to do then is to, we'll save that. Let's see. Let's go up in here, and we can either save as a copy, or, which I just did, I didn't really mean to, or we can open in. We can go back into Snapseed. The way mine is set up now, I go in here to More, and I go down here to Copy to Snapseed. It's down here. Whoops, copy. There's Snapseed. Okay, do a little bit more tweaking with this. I think that, I don't know if you've noticed these presets. Portrait you wouldn't want to use. So I just hit no, I don't want that. Smooth. That can be, no, that's not too good either. Pop, but it's still, pop can be very nice. And let me show you what you can get if you hit check. And you come up and hit the little things up there and you do view edits. You'll see the presets. If you touch on original, you can go back to the original of what we just got from without the line. Then going up to portrait, it always seems to do this. It always seems to make it darker. I don't particularly like that, so I go in and I do this because I don't have any people in that. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Oh yeah, I guess I meant to hit. I want rid of it. Okay, then it's a HDRscape, and we've already done HDRscape on this, but it's doing it some more. But if you look at it and you press that, you'll see that it does a lot of plus 15. Plus 15 works pretty well most of the time. But if you did it on nature, you'd see it's a little bit different. People, well, we wouldn't do it on people anyway. Strong would be different. So you can just try those things. But I really want that anyway because we'd already done an HDR. I think that would be too much. So let's just go in and do that. But I just wanted to show you these. They do a lot of tonal contrast. And actually, it was playing with these presets and the viewing the edits that I actually figured out about tonal contrast. I usually just use the default because I don't see much difference. But I do like the tonal contrast. Is there any place where I shouldn't use it? Probably not. That's okay. This is what I really wanted to show you tonight is curves. I want to show you just how strong curves are. This is a neutral. What it does is it kind of makes it that not one color goes above any other color. This is kind of nice. You're not bringing out any particular color over of any other. Now, if you'll notice, I put my, you got to get this dot to show blue, and you can, oh, it's not, oh, there it goes. Get it on the blue, and then you can start moving it around. You see what I mean? You can get a completely different look by getting these dots. I'm not sure exactly always what is working with what's on what axis, this axis here and this axis here. But I just get it, you have to get that, you have to tap that dot to get it to move. And I'm having trouble getting it to move again. And that's how you can just move it around. You see how much it's changing that picture? It's incredible how much it changes the picture. I recall what it looked like, and I would say that it kind of looked I said it was a grayish green, didn't I? Can kind of go with that, I think. The sky looks the right color of blue. I do a lot with the color of blue, the blue skies and the green grass to know how things look. Not exactly sure what this, the eye shows you the grid. This shows you your presets are, which we've already done a preset. Before I do anything though, I don't want to change, I like that, so I'm going to check that. Now, I don't know if you knew this, but you can go in here and you can add at any place along the way, you can add in something else. Just for the fun of it, I'm going to go back to curves and I'm going to show you that I can still do, the neutral line now it doesn't come up on the presets. I'm not exactly sure why it is now straight. But they can still hit soft contrast and it will still do a soft contrast. I don't particularly want to do that in this one. I just wanted to show it to you. Here's hard contrast, but you see, what I want you to see is what the difference is in these curves between soft contrast. What it's doing is it's bringing down, it's making let's touch this and I'll show you what I mean. That gives you an idea of what, it's really stubborn. It doesn't want to move all the time. There it goes. What I did there is when I brought both of those dots above the line, what did I actually do? I brightened it. What this does is it makes the shadows darker. See, so these are the lower end. These are the lower end, the darker tones. Okay, so it makes the darker tones, this is why it's a soft contrast. It makes the darker tones darker and the lighter tones lighter. They're up here. So you can see how it brightens it up. And that's how it does it. Now, if you want to adjust the contrast a little bit more, you can. Now, I know you can do that in Toon Image, but you can do a lot of the stuff all at once that you can do in Toon Image, you can do all at once with this one tool. Let's see what I want to show you next. That doesn't show it. Now here's the neat thing about this is you can work on each particular color. So if you want to bring out the green, what would you do with the green? See, that brings it up and makes it much more green. You see that? Okay. Let's see what it does here. Green line here. This green line here, I'm trying to get it to... See? See how powerful this tool is? Extremely powerful. You can do all sorts of things with this tool. Actually, that looks a lot more like what that particular one looked like. Although I have to watch here in this part of the grass. Can't really see what I'm doing, but this lighter part of the grass is getting awfully bright. See what I mean? So if it's too bright, then I can go up here because that's one of the lighter colored greens. And see how that pulls that down? It's not so bright now. One of the things that you'll find with curves is you can do that. Now let's see what happens with red. Do the same thing. I'm looking at the top where those 3 windows are at the top triangle of the house. Let's see what happens when I do that. See how much brighter red that became? And I remember it being kind of like that. That's kind of what I'm trying to go like. You can do this, go down here, make that. I don't really want to do that, but I think it's more like that. This is really fine tuning. You don't have to do this necessarily, but you can see what it does to the blue. If you're looking down here, you can see what it does with the blue. Oh, way too much blue. So this is what, this is what your blue is right now. And if you want to make it, change it, you can. Actually, that looks really, that looks very much like what I saw when I saw this house. So you can go and you can change all of them. Now, let me show you something else. Let me show you, you can make it darker. That's too dark. What you can do is you can just get that, because you can see though, this is stubborn. It doesn't want to, every time I touch it, it shows me what it is without it. There it goes. I guess you just have to get it on there and hold it for a while, but see as I pull this down, that gets much darker. It's much darker, and that's too dark, so I'm going to pull it back up. This is a way of getting the highlights. I like the highlights, the white on the house. Lets that come up. Now I'm starting to basically do contrast. If you do brighten, you can see now that the curve is up above. It's much brighter. Again, that's too bright. So, really having trouble getting it to, move. There it goes. So you can move the dot up along this way, move it down. You see how much I'm correcting all at one time. So there you have that. Not a whole lot brighter, but it's somewhat brighter. Like that. Just wanted to show you these things that you can do. Faded, I hardly ever use that. I use soft contrast, hard contrast, bright and dark. Now, here's the things that you can look at. P01, this is a preset 01, and what you can see is, if you look, you can see the different colors. The blue, the red, the green, you can see their lines, and you can see what it does. If you don't like that one, you can go to this one. Then you have U01, and you basically can just run through those and see if one of them really works well. And really, this one works really well for this picture. So I probably will use that one. So you don't have to do all of the different curves and everything. You can just do what you want. And I like this one, so I'm probably going to stick with that one. Instead of, it just gives you the ability to do as much as you want or as little as you want. So I think you should play with curves quite a bit and just see what you can do with it. Fixes a lot of things right away. It can do a lot for you. Now I can go back and let's view edits. And I had that curves, and I think that I will, think I'm pretty much happy with that. So I'm going to do, hit back here. I'm going to get a tool. And I think the tool that I'll use at this point is, I don't really have anything. We've already used perspective before. We'll talk about the selective another time. Details, I might want to do details. You probably know how to use that already. Let's do it anyway. And I think the whole thing could stand a little bit of structure. So I'm going to do the structure up to about 10%. Plus 10. And just for the sake of doing a masking. I will tell you that sometimes doing details up, it will make things lighter. I don't really want details on my roof. I mean on the sky, excuse me. So I don't want to do that on the sky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to mask that off. And it'd take me less time by doing the opposite. So I'm going to do this. I'll leave the tree. Well, I really need to crop. I forgot about cropping, which I do a lot. Then I hit the reverse so that I have it on the rest of the house. I'm going to put this back up to 100, get this little stuff in here. You have to really be careful because you can sometimes see, because details and some of these things actually make them lighter, you can actually kind of tell that when you're done. So let's do that. And let's go ahead and crop this thing. Okay, let's say that I want to crop first. If you forget something and want to do it, just go back to the original. Go to there, tools, let's crop it. Oh, I don't want that. Let's say I want a 5 by 8. That's 5 by 5 to 4 is an 8 by 10. You probably know this already. You can do this to make it go that way. This way makes it go back. I think that's probably pretty good. Oops. I do a lot of 8 by 10s. I like a lot of 8 by 10s. By the way, this roof line is still kind of crooked, but there's only so much you can do sometimes. Because if I start pulling up this end, I kept trying to do that. I wonder. Let me try something. I'm going to take that. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can fix that in perspective. I may not be able to. Let's do free here. Let's go up here. Oops, I told you I don't like, let's make this white. Oh, I'll have to crop. I should have cropped after. Let's see if we get this end up. Do a little bit, you kind of have to mess with the rest of it. It gets kind of fiddly. I actually think that this house was not perfect. I think that this roof line above the porch, the one that seems to be rising up, I think that was actually a flaw in the house. I don't really think that I want to do that. I don't think it makes much difference. I don't think it helps. So I'll go out of it. You know what? I'm going to go back. And this is what I do a lot. I'm going to go back and crop because I think I need that a little bit, that little weather vane or up across whatever it is at the top. Although, you know, I think, do you see this cornered here? I think I may stick with a 4 by 3 because I like how this, I can't really show you the corner. This lower right corner, I like how the pathway goes that way. So this isn't a perfect one. It's okay. It's not the most wonderful one I've ever seen. Now, at this point, if I wanted to, I could export at this point. I'm not going to export, but if I wanted to, I could export and I could save. And this usually, the reason this is not doing a regular save is because, save a copy is because this was taken off of a burst shot. And burst shots, there are some problems with that. I don't want to talk about that right now, but let's just get out of that. Go back in. But if I wanted to stop, I do that a lot when I have tried different crops. Sometimes I crop at the end because I want to crop it different ways with different aspects. But what I like doing here is I can go through and I can see, well, I didn't really crop anything on this one, so I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of this crop because I don't like it. But when you do tonal contrast, you can see what that does. Then you can see what curves does. Now remember, we've already done HDR. And we did, now this was the curves that was just to get the right color of the paint. This was to give it the soft contrast. Or was it to brighten it? I can't remember. Yeah, it was, no, it was the other, it was one of the other presets, one of the different ones. And then we go up to details. And again, if we wanted to change it, we could still look at, we can see what we did for our mask. I talk a lot, sorry. Okay, so I'm not going to crop it. I decided not to crop it. I like it the way it is. So I don't like this tree here, but there's a way we can get rid of that too. But if I start getting rid of that, I'm going to have other problems too. But I will do this. I am going to do healing. I don't like this little bit of tree right here. Let's just take that out. This is a distraction to me. I don't like that last one, so I'm going to undo that. Sometimes you got to pinch and zoom. Don't like that little one right there. There we go. Got it. All right, so now I do like that, so I'm going to toot that. I could take out more of the tree, but if I do, then I'm going to get into this tree that's back here. I'm not that crazy about this photo anyway, so I'm not wanting to spend a lot of time with it except to give you instructions. Let's see. So then I go back and I'll view my edits again. I've done healing. Let's see. I guess I could have just gone straight to tools. What tool do I want to use now? Well, I think it's just about time to do a vignette. So always, I like as much as possible. It really adds a lot to it to do a vignette. So let's scroll down here to vignette. And there's my blue circle. By touching and zooming, I can get the vignette bigger. And I can adjust the outer brightness, inner brightness. Well, right now I'm working on the outer brightness. Try to make it be kind of subtle, where you hardly know it's there. I think we needed, let's try the inner brightness a little bit. Yeah, I like that. I like doing the inner brightness a little bit. And again, let's look at it. That's without it, and that's with it. I do like that. And so I'm going to accept that. And one of the things that I like to do framings because I just think it looks like a finished, like it'd be on the wall. Not that I would really do that on this one, but let's go to tools and let's do frames. My favorites are 5, and let me show you what happens when you do the frame width. When you go down, actually makes it narrower, or you can go up, and that makes it come in really far, which I don't really usually do. So let's say if I went that way, that's one way to do it. I'm not actually going to use that one though. What I'm actually going to do is show you something that you probably wouldn't figure about doing. But if I go into 1 and I do a pretty big frame like this. Well, here's one way I could get rid of that. I could get a lot more of that tree gone. If you notice the whites coming in, I could do that. Let's see. No, that makes it actually look worse, I think. Kind of had to just make your own judgment there. So let's say I do it at -5. Now, I'm going to go ahead and accept that. That's not going to be my end result. I'm just saying that this is what I could do. Actually, I do want to take that. I want to take that up to 0. Just to show you. Now, I do that. Now, if I do tools again and do frames again, then I can use my another one that I use, which is a black frame, number 12. Now, do you see what that did? That gave me a narrow, it gave me a bandwidth, a white with a black around it. So that's another option that you have. So let's say I wanted to do that. Now what I could do is export, and this particular one, oh, I know why this is only a save. Excuse me, I know why. We brought this in from Touch Retouch. So you have no other option but to save it. You can't save a copy. You save and it does it. Okay. So what it has done, it has altered it. Now let me see. I'm curious about something. Let's go to Photos. I want to see if we can, it's there, okay. What I want to do now is I want to go into Snapseed and I want to open my latest image, and I want to see if we can do what I hope we can do, which is view edits. And yeah, there are the frames. Now, if I decide that I don't like this frame or I want to try a different frame, then I can take these frames off, and then I could go in and do the frame that I like a lot, which is number 5. I also like number 4. There's number 5. I like that one. -20. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So I could do that. Then I could export it. Oh, now I can save a copy because it came from Snapseed. But I will tell you that a lot of times I'll show you this because I like this one. Goes in and it saves, and then it asks for me to modify it. I do a lot of changes on my edits, and sometimes I would get up like 5 or 6 different versions of the edits when I do the save a copy. And I just have so many pictures, I wouldn't know which one was the one that I was finally happy with. So what I started doing was doing save and then modify, and that when you can start off with save a copy, well, I'm going ahead of myself. But I actually use that most of the time now. Not always, but I do that most of the time. But if I didn't like that and I wanted to change it, I can do it again. I can go in and I can view the edits, and I could go into frames and I could say I want a different frame. So I'll show you what 4 looks like. It's kind of an abstracty kind of looking frame. Kind of like it though. You can see it without it and then with it. And I'll go with -20 again, I guess. And then again, I can go out, export, and I'm going to save again and save it as modified, because actually I do kind of like that on this particular one. It makes it look a little bit more airy. So that's a lot of what I wanted to talk about tonight. That you can look back at this. What you could do now, we could do is let's look at some of yours and see what you want to do with some of your edits. I wanted to work on one of the ones that you sent me with the road. There are some highline wires there. I wanted you to make it an attempt to get rid of those highline wires using Touch Retouch. Anyway, I hope this is helpful.